Hey, what's going on, Infinite Youth Ministry? Wanted to welcome you back to YouTube. We're going to be here on YouTube every week with each of our series that we go through. This is where the teaching happens, and the discussion will happen when we get together, either on Zoom or actually physically together here on campus in our life groups. So let's get started. Who do you go to when you're facing a difficult time? Did you know that God has given us a specific person, at least one, or a specific group of people for us to be around, especially during difficult times? They're called a family. We're kicking off this fall series, and it's called Atypical. Atypical. What does that mean? Well, atypical is simply this. Typical means normal. That's another way to say it. And then when you put the A in front of it, it just means not. So really what we're saying is not normal. Atypical is not normal. And our families may not be the picture perfect model of what families should be like, right? So our families, the reality is they may fight. They're probably confusing, and the reality is they probably just don't get you all the time. So what do we do then when our family doesn't seem so good or very normal? I think in Genesis 3 and 4, so chapter 3 and 4, we read about, let's call them the first family. And I'm not meaning the presidential family. I mean like literally the first family in history. Adam and Eve, that's husband and wife, and their two kids, their two boys, Cain and Abel. Adam and Eve, honestly, as things kind of kicked off for them, they were good together, like really good together. And their life was even better when they were hanging out with God. But after a temptation, Adam and Eve got clapped. It clearly clapped. In the end, it ended up bad for Adam and Eve. And honestly, when you think about it, well, for all of us, sin entered into the world, and it came in the form of some really horrible stuff. Like, for instance, image issues. How about being more self-conscious and not in a good way. Activities that we do may be a bit more lame or boring, because I really do believe that some of the fun got sucked out of life when sin entered the world. How about blaming other people? Shame. Broken relationships with God and each other. Even after all that happened, with God providing things they needed, Adam and Eve were again able to recognize that they were still important to God. And a few years later, Adam and Eve started having their kids. And their first two were boys, Cain and Abel. Maybe you've heard about them. But these boys grew up learning about the importance of worshiping God with their gifts of gratitude and thankfulness. And I think this is really cool, because despite Adam and Eve's past choices, they genuinely were useful to and for God. And they were useful for these boys, their family, and how they raised them. And sometimes, though, even though things are good in our life, right, we may still dip out on God because, well, honestly, we're thirsty for more. But Cain wasn't a very thankful guy. And we're going to highlight him here for a second. And God, honestly, he noticed it. Abel was though, and Cain got really angry with his younger brother. He got angry that he had a good heart. And honestly, I think it's because it made him look bad. Have you ever felt like someone made you look bad? It says in Genesis chapter 4, verses 4 through 7, this. We want to take a look at it. The story of what's really going on here. And it says, "And Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering, he didn't look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was, well, it was mean mugging. Then the Lord said to Cain, 'Why are you angry? Why does your face look like that? If you do what's right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. Cain, it desires to have you, but you must rule over it.'" Cain was unfortunately, an atypical older brother, and his jealousy got the best of him. And eventually, Cain set his brother up, took him out to a field when no one was around, and then killed him. And in that moment, just like his parents, Cain ignored the advice God had given him that was really good for something he thought would be better. But in the end, honestly, it was pretty cringy. And what's the point of all of this, right? Like, where, Chris, are we going? Here's the point. Any family can be useful for God. Any family. So don't count yours out, all right? As Christians, we have two families. One you're born into, and a heavenly one that you're invited into. And that family's the church. As this series goes on, we'll learn more about what God meant family to be like, and how we can start becoming that family together, honestly, as a youth ministry, as a group. But for now, I want you to think about this. Despite whatever your family may be like, know that an atypical family can be used by God. You and your family may not be a normal family, right? Normal. But you can still share what God is doing in your life with the world around you. That's it. Get into those life groups this week. Talk this out. Grow in your faith and become that family that's useful to God. We'll see you next time.